Imagine for a moment, you're living in a world where electricity is a distant memory. The cold, crisp air seeps into every corner of your home, and yet your food is perfectly preserved. Your vegetables stay fresh. Your meats? They're kept at optimal temperatures. No fridge, no freezer, no technology. This is not some ancient secret or dystopian future. This is the Amish way of life, one that's been passed down for centuries. And in today's modern world, where we rely heavily on machines to keep our food safe, it's easy to forget how ingenious the Amish are in maintaining what many of us would consider impossible. But how do they do it? How do they manage to keep cellars at a perfect 34 degrees Fahrenheit without a single plug in sight? By the end of this video, you'll have the answers, but more importantly, you'll learn why these time-tested, sustainable techniques might just be the key to your own survival in an increasingly uncertain world. Stick around, because the answer might change how you think about energy, sustainability, and even your own future. We're taught to believe that modern technology is the only way to get things done. Electricity, refrigerators, air conditioning, it's all a part of our everyday lives. But there's a group of people who've been living without these conveniences for hundreds of years. The Amish. Their lives are dictated by values like simplicity, community, and most importantly, self-reliance. For them, the idea of storing food at the perfect temperature is not just practical, it's essential to survival. And in their secluded world, the answer lies below ground. The cellar, a time-honored technique they've perfected, providing consistent temperatures year-round without needing a single ounce of electricity. But there's a catch. The cellar must be built the right way. It all starts with something you probably take for granted: the ground beneath your feet. You see, deep below the surface of the earth, temperatures are remarkably constant. Year-round, the ground stays at around 50 degrees Fahrenheit. But the real magic happens when that temperature meets the cool, moist air of the cellar. The Amish knew something that modern architects are just beginning to understand. The earth can act as a natural refrigerator. By digging deep into the ground, they create a space that remains consistently cool, ideal for preserving fruits, vegetables, and meats. But here's the thing. Building a cellar that takes full advantage of this natural cooling requires skill. It's not just about digging a hole. The design, the depth, the material, all of these factors must be considered. Stay with me here, because the way they craft these cellars could teach us lessons on resilience that we desperately need right now. Now, let's talk about airflow. The Amish don't just dig a hole and call it a day. They understand that keeping food at 34 degrees Fahrenheit requires more than just cold. There's another key ingredient: airflow. The cellar is built with strategically placed ventilation shafts that allow fresh, cool air to flow in while also venting out warmer air. This process prevents the buildup of harmful gases and ensures that the temperature stays stable. But there's another twist you won't expect. The Amish also control humidity in their cellars, something most of us overlook. Too much moisture, and your food can rot. Too little, and your food will dry out. They strike the perfect balance, using natural methods to control the humidity levels, so food stays fresh longer. You may be wondering, how do they do all of this without modern technology? It's a question that will soon lead us to the most surprising answer yet. But there's one more thing that the Amish do that most of us would never think of. They insulate their cellars, not just from the sides, but from the top and bottom as well. The ground below provides natural insulation, but what about the top? The Amish have discovered that a thick layer of straw, hay, or even soil covering the roof of the cellar can prevent heat from seeping in during the summer months, keeping things cool. This is where the design of the Amish cellar truly shines. They work with nature, not against it, creating an environment that requires minimal maintenance and is fully sustainable. But here's the catch: not everyone can pull this off. It requires an intimate knowledge of the land, the materials, and the weather patterns. There's a certain level of mastery here that's only gained through years of trial and error. What would happen if we applied this knowledge to modern living? Could we create energy-efficient homes, or perhaps even entire communities that work in harmony with the land? In the end, The Amish way of life is about more than just survival. It's about living in harmony with the world around you. They're not just keeping Cellars cool, they're teaching us a lesson about sustainability, simplicity, and the beauty of working with nature. But here's the question. In our fast-paced, high-tech world, are we forgetting something? Are we too reliant on electricity and technology, so much so that we overlook the timeless wisdom of those who live off the grid? As climate change and energy crises loom on the horizon, the Amish method of cellar cooling offers us a glimpse into a sustainable future, one that doesn't depend on power lines or fossil fuels. The simple truth is, if we could learn to harness these natural methods, we might just be able to create a more resilient, self-sufficient world. Now here's the most powerful question yet. Could the Amish way of cooling be the future of energy? With the rising cost of electricity and an ever-growing concern for the environment, could we adapt these simple, natural methods to modern homes and buildings? Imagine a world where your food is kept at the perfect temperature without relying on electricity. Imagine homes that stay cool in the summer and warm in the winter. No heating bills, no air conditioning required. It's a bold vision, but it's not as far-fetched as it seems. And just like the Amish have thrived for centuries with their knowledge of the land, we too can learn to live more harmoniously with nature. It's easy to assume that self-sufficiency is something from the past, a relic of another time. But the Amish have kept it alive, proving that with a deep connection to the land, the most basic skills can provide a level of independence we often overlook. What if we could tap into this very same mindset today? In a world where supply chains are unpredictable and energy prices are climbing, could we rediscover self-sufficiency in our own homes? We've lost something precious in our rush to embrace convenience. It's no longer about the latest gadget or high-tech appliance. It's about getting back to the basics, things like preserving food in a way that doesn't require electricity, or even growing our own vegetables in a backyard garden. The Amish have mastered this. But it's not just their way of life, it's a philosophy we can adopt to face an unpredictable future. Now let's ask a question that's as exciting as it is intimidating. Could you build your own cellar? You don't have to be Amish to make this dream a reality. In fact, building a small root cellar or modifying your existing space to take advantage of the Earth's natural cooling power might be more accessible than you think. What if you could transform your basement or backyard into a food preservation haven that runs on nothing but the Earth's energy? And while the idea of digging into the Earth might seem daunting at first, the truth is that even a small effort in this direction could yield incredible results. Imagine storing your garden's harvest in a cool, moist environment where it stays fresh without needing a power bill attached to it. But as we'll soon see, the first step is knowing where to start. And it might not be as simple as digging a hole. You'll need the right knowledge, the right materials, and the right timing. In a world of constant change, where every natural disaster seems to bring more uncertainty, the Amish thrive. They survive in a way that many of us could only dream of, by relying on the earth, the seasons, and the time-tested techniques their ancestors passed down. But the survival lessons they offer us aren't just about food storage, it's about a mindset. The Amish prioritize sustainability, community, and long-term thinking over short-term convenience. They build systems that work for the long haul, systems that are as sustainable as they are simple. As we face the potential challenges of climate change, resource depletion, and rising energy costs, the Amish way of life provides a roadmap for the future. Not through fancy technology or complicated systems, but through self-reliance, practical wisdom, and a profound respect for the earth. Could we follow their example? Could we move away from over-reliance on technology and reconnect with the environment in a way that ensures our future is more resilient, sustainable, and self-sufficient? It's easy to get caught up in the latest trends, gadgets, and shortcuts that promise to make life easier. But, as we've seen today, there's a simple power in getting back to basics. Whether it's creating your own food storage cellar, designing an energy-efficient home, or learning to grow your own food. The future of sustainability lies in these forgotten arts. The Amish have proven that living in harmony with nature is not only possible, it's preferable. But here's the catch. These practices require dedication. They require patience. They require a willingness to do the hard work. In a world of instant gratification, this can feel like a monumental challenge. But as we look ahead to uncertain times, the rewards of living in a way that prioritizes resilience over convenience might just be the key to surviving and thriving in the future. So, what are you waiting for? Are you ready to take the first step toward self-sufficiency? Are you prepared to build your own sustainable future, one rooted in the timeless knowledge of the past? The Amish have shown us that the answers to many of our modern challenges are not in the latest tech gadgets or futuristic solutions. They are in the earth beneath our feet, in the wisdom of generations past, and in our own willingness to return to what truly matters: sustainability, simplicity, and resilience. As we face an uncertain future, the time to act is now. Begin small. Start with a few basic skills, maybe a root cellar or a garden. From there, who knows what else you could achieve. The important thing is to start today. We've learned a lot together in this video, but this is just the beginning. There's a whole world of old world knowledge waiting to be rediscovered, ready to help you build a more sustainable, self-reliant life. It's often said that the simpler the life, the greater the peace. The Amish have embodied this belief for centuries. Their reliance on simple, natural methods allows them to live in harmony with the land, and perhaps more importantly, to find peace in their daily lives. In a world consumed with constant noise and distractions, the Amish have found something many of us are searching for: contentment. They don't need the latest iPhone, the newest car, or the most extravagant vacation to feel fulfilled. They've built a life where the basic needs are met through nature, community, and hard work. But what if we could learn to simplify our own lives too? What if we could slow down, take stock of our surroundings, and start making more intentional decisions about how we live? Could we too find peace in simplicity while also ensuring that we're prepared for the future? In a time when so much is uncertain, it's easy to feel overwhelmed. But by looking back at the Amish way of life, we might just discover that the answers we're looking for aren't found in more complexity, but in returning to the basics. In the rush of our everyday lives, we often forget the hidden costs of convenience. We rely on technology for everything, from keeping our food fresh to getting a good night's sleep. But at what cost? We've all heard the phrases, "You're paying for convenience." But when you dig deeper, you realize just how much we're paying, not just financially, but in our health, our environment, and even our sense of well-being. Consider the energy we waste to refrigerate our food, the fossil fuels burned to keep our lights on, or the water used to run appliances that often only serve one purpose. Every time we reach for a piece of technology to solve a problem, we're making a choice that might not be as sustainable as we think. The Amish have shown us that there's a better way. They live without the conveniences we take for granted, and instead of feeling deprived, they thrive. In fact, they've built a way of life that's not only sustainable, but incredibly rewarding. And this is where the urgency lies. As the world changes and resources become scarcer, it's time for us to ask ourselves, can we afford to continue down this path of endless consumption? Or is it time to embrace a different kind of future, one that values simplicity, sustainability, and resilience? One of the most powerful aspects of the Amish way of life is the sense of community they cultivate. In a world where isolation often feels like the norm, the Amish stand as a reminder that true strength comes from togetherness. They support each other through every season, whether it's harvesting crops, building homes, or tending to the sick. There's a deep connection that goes beyond mere survival. It's about sharing knowledge, resources, and most importantly, love. In our modern world, we've lost some of that communal spirit, but it doesn't have to be that way. If we want to build a more sustainable future, we must reconnect with one another. Whether it's through neighbors helping neighbors or families working together to create self-sufficient homes, Could it be that one of the greatest lessons the Amish have to offer us is the power of community? In a world that often feels divided and uncertain, perhaps the key to overcoming our challenges lies in working together, not just as individuals, but as communities. As we reach the end of our journey together, I want to leave you with one last question. What will you do with what you've learned? The Amish have shown us that it's possible to live with less, yet thrive more. Their ability to preserve food without electricity, to build their homes with their own hands, and to rely on the earth for sustenance is nothing short of extraordinary. But it's also a reminder that we can all choose a different path. We have a choice to continue living the way we always have, relying on a system that may not always be there when we need it, or to take matters into our own hands, just like the Amish. Could you start small? Maybe by building a simple root cellar, growing your own food, or learning to live with a little less. The power is in your hands. The future of sustainability, resilience, and peace is not just something the Amish hold, it's something we can all claim. But it starts with a single step. Will you take it? Thank you for joining me on this deep dive into the Amish way of life and the timeless lessons they offer. The simplicity, resilience, and sustainability they practice are more than just survival tactics. They're a blueprint for a better future. Remember, we don't have to wait for a crisis to start embracing these old-world methods. The time to act is now. Whether it's learning to preserve food naturally, growing your own vegetables, or building stronger communities, the path forward is clear, and it's simpler than we often realize. If you found this video insightful, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And if you're inspired to start your own journey toward a more self-sufficient life, I'd love to hear about it in the comments. Until next time, let's live inspired and let's live resilient.